What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Glass Garage, where we make detailing simple. My name is Hawk, and today I have something special for you guys. First off, we have a 2023 Acura Integra, and I did coat this in June of 2022, and it's still a 2023 model. Nonetheless, we coated this with the raw ceramic coatings, and the owner has some overspray all over the car, especially it was heavy on the windshield, the front grille, on the hood. You'll see the walk around of all those spots, and this is just the least of it because we did the whole clay bar, the whole 9 yards and all that stuff just to get rid of it most. We even tried Ulex from Coach Kemi. That didn't take it out. We even tried Jimbo's Pure Magic Cleaner. I tried that out because this had a couple of water spots, but the water spots were diminished easily and the coating was still here. The problem is we have to still polish the rest of this out, and we did tell the owner we had to use an aggressive clay bar, and he didn't want that marring and stuff on the coating. And it's pretty much 2 years in, literally. It's about to be 2 years in, and he's just gonna get another coating. So we're gonna put the Chronos from Phoenix EOD, and we're gonna use Cut compound just to remove the topical part. We found out that this worked. We tried the Fabulous finishing polish with the DIY detail wool pad. It didn't remove it, so we're just using this to remove it, not really correct any defects. And then we're gonna follow it up with the Fab polish, and after that, Peleus panel prep, then the Phoenix EOD ceramic coating, Chronos. And nonetheless, we're going to use the DIY detail DA, and we're gonna finish it off, like I said, with the DIY detail Rotary. And that's pretty much it. That is what's gonna happen. So if you like this type of content, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. All the products will be down below for you guys to order. Use code DMS at checkout for 10% off either Phoenix EOD or DIY detail. And let's get started with this video. For this video, we're going to focus more on the polishing aspect and talk about the DIY detail DA and the Rotary, since my wife and I have been using it a couple times already. And this is another vehicle that we ended up actually using both in one shot, and it's a great way to just give a complete review and outcome of a vehicle using these two polishers. And also just to remind everybody that this Cut and the 25mm DA was only used to remove the residual overspray that was left on the paint. It was so easy to remove with the Cut, and that was about it. Nothing much to it. We weren't here to correct anything. Whatever was corrected was corrected. So at the end of the video, you'll probably see a couple of swirls and scratches because we still weren't going for perfection, and just enjoy the polishing process. Here's a quick 50-50 after using the DA. Did we go for perfection? No, but we did remove 99.9% of all those overspray that was on the paint, and the paint just looks fantastic. And as the DIY detail 25mm DA, we've been using it for a while. We have been enjoying it very, very, very much. Just quick, easy, and just a phenomenal polisher overall thus far. If you guys want to hear about the pros and cons, go watch my previous video, because this video we're going to focus more on talking about the Rotary and what we like and dislike about the Rotary. And like I said, these videos are for you guys and full transparency. I'm sure most of you have been waiting for this part of the video, talking about the DIY detail Rotary polisher. And here I have a couple pros and cons my wife and I collectively, spoke about and came to a conclusion of what's a pro, what's a con, and we will let you guys know about that. And hopefully the video can translate what we're talking about when we're talking about these pros and cons. Here are the 5 pros I have written down for the DIY detail Rotary. And the first pro, it is a balanced machine. Yes, there are other balanced rotaries out there. Balance is one of those things, but this actually, hopefully you can see it and it translates through the camera. It is very balanced. And pro number 2, it is very smooth. So hopefully you can see that on camera. And pro number 3, it doesn't have that high-pitched noise, especially on low RPMs. There are other rotaries on the market, even on low RPMs, it has that annoying high-pitched noise, especially when you're using it with a pad washer and ready to dry out the pad. It has that very high-pitched noise. And pro number 4, which we have, is a long rubberized cord, which other cheap polishers out there have that plastic cord and it kind of like easily kinks. It's not my favorite to use, but it is also 30 feet long or 25 foot. It's a very nice long cord and is very nice to use. Pro number 5 is it has a high RPM and low RPM. There are rotaries on the market. For example, I have the Rupes, which we really enjoy. It just has a low RPM of 450, and then it goes to 700 for speed 2. And after that, to dry out the pad, it only goes up to like 1800 RPMs, which this one goes up to 2600, which is just way faster and way easier to dry out the pads. And that's the only downside for the Rupes that I have compared to this. Another pro on the DIY detail rotary that came into my head is it doesn't get as hot as other rotaries. And when I talk about the other 2 rotaries that I can compare to is the Rupes, and I've used the Max Shine, which is speed setting number 1 on low RPM is 800 RPM. When I use that one, or 700 on the Rupes, I've noticed that those 2 rotaries get hotter and warmer than the DIY detail polisher in itself. And now let's talk about the cons. Just like anything in life, nothing is perfect, and we will talk about the cons here. And con number 1, which isn't really a con, it's more of a preference, is it doesn't have a variable speed trigger. And I've said this on my previous video, my wife and I truly don't care for a variable speed trigger because we are never feathering anything on the paint. It's either if we're spreading product, we're using it on the lower speed, and then if we're ready to polish, we're gonna use it on whatever speed setting we're ready to polish on. The variable speed trigger is just more of a preference. As for con number 2, we're going to talk about the weight, and this is more of a subjective feeling of stuff that I've used in the past, so don't quote me on this, but based on feeling, this definitely does feel a little bit heavier than the Max Shine, the Shine Mate, and the Flex cordless rotary that I've owned in the past. And 110%, this rotary does feel heavier than the one that we currently own, which is the Rupes rotary. And the downside for the Rupes rotary is it doesn't have a high RPM, and it also doesn't feel as balanced as the DIY detail rotary in itself. And also it does get slightly hot, especially on speed setting 2, which is 700 RPM, which we enjoy using it. It does get warmer than most, but that's pretty much about it on the DIY detail rotary polisher. It definitely has a lot more pros than cons, but to be honest, the only one slight con that I could consider a con is really the weight itself, in my opinion. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and we finished applying the Chronos Phoenix EOD ceramic coating on this 2023 Integra, and we ended up using Papa Cut compound and also the Fab polish, and of course Peely's panel prep, literally one of my favorite top 3 panel preps at the moment, and then apply the ceramic coating. The other thing is we did use the new DIY detail polishers. We ended up using the 21mm DA and also, or that's a 21, the 25mm DA, and also their rotary. And I spoke about the rotary. It's been a fantastic rotary so far. My wife and I really enjoyed it, especially the high RPMs to dry out the pad. The pad and also the polisher or the rotary feels a little bit heavier. It is very, very easy to work with. It's just nice and balanced, especially using it on one hand. And that's it. So you guys saw my review on the DA, and this is pretty much just a quick recap when I talk more about the DA and the rotary in this video. And all the products will be down below for you guys to order if you guys want 10% off any Phoenix EOD products. Use code DMS at checkout. And my camera is getting hit right now, but so use code DMS at checkout at DIY Detail to get your polishers if you guys want the polishers, because so far they've been fantastic. So I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.